30-year-old. My birthday is September the 9th, 1993. 9993. Originally from Scotland. Moved to England when I was 15 year old. So I've lived half my life in Scotland, half my life in England. And I want to give you my testimony on how Jesus Christ saved me and my profound experience that brought me the true love and the light of God. So here we go. First I want to start and say I've lived a very mixed life. Half my life has been truly blessed, and half my life has been, let's just say, not blessed. Let's go back to the beginning. So I'm just going to be an open book and tell it straight. No lies, no sugarcoating, no embellishing. I just want to tell it from the heart. Okay? Now, I was always a gifted person. I was doing really well in school. I had really good grades. I was what you would call a teacher's pet. I was really gifted. But on the other hand, I was also bullied a lot, very terribly. The bullying that I suffered was torturous, to say the least. I got blamed for things that I never did. I got coerced into doing things I didn't want to do. And eventually I got to the point where I started to enjoy picking on other people. I didn't do much of it, fortunately, but I was a product of my environment. I grew up in a really rough town, full of drugs, violence, and I had a wonderful mother who protected me and kept me safe, but I had a father who was a very, very evil man, extremely evil. I was surrounded by drugs from a real young age, a lot of domestic violence, so I saw things no child should ever see. I took that suffering in my life, and that's why I tried to excel in education, because I wanted to be better. I didn't want to be like my father. I didn't want to be this evil man who abused women, took drugs, who hit on me and my family. I wanted to be a better version and use the good that I saw in life, because in that dark place I had something always good, whether it was school, whether it was dancing, which I started when I was 11, whether it was singing, whether it was having some really, really amazing friends. I remember the deputy head of one of the schools I went to. He was someone that I really looked up to. So I was in a very dark place, but I always had something positive. Looking back, I know that was God's grace. That was an angel. That was God. That was something that shielded me from truly tipping over the edge and joining in that dark lifestyle from the environment that I suffered in. So let's fast forward a little bit. When I was maybe 10 years old, I think, it was the first encounter of true evil that I saw and felt. To this day, it still gives me shivers. If I think about it too much, it completely traumatized me. This is something that you would see in horror movies. This is something that I didn't really understand. I thought it was a dream. It wasn't. It was real. And this is extremely difficult for me to say, but this happened. So, I used to suffer from night terrors, sleep paralysis, just thinking about this now is giving me goosebumps. You know, by the power and grace of Jesus Christ, I will no fear it no more. Jesus, protect me. Let me tell the world this story so that I may give comfort and guidance in their lives. So here we go. This is what happened. I had a dream for months and months. Same dream. Woke up in my bed. Got out of bed. I was in a bedroom here. When I went out of my bedroom, there was a hallway, and at the end of the hallway was my brother's bedroom, and to the right was my parents. It was my mum and her partner at the time. Fortunately, not my biological father, the one who was evil. And when I would look to the left, to my brother's room, his door was completely black, and it was like a portal. And when I looked, God, this is so bad. I just got like absorbed, and it was like a black hole. It's the best way I can describe it, and it pulled me straight towards the door, like that, and I just felt hopeless. I felt like, oh, this is it. I'm going straight to hell. That's what it felt like. And I was like 9-10 year old, maybe a bit younger, older. I can't really remember the age. And then straight after that, what would happen is all sorts of things. Like, I'd be getting chased by demons. Running around my house, I would scream for people, and all through this was happening, I was sleepwalking. I didn't know that. I thought it was like I was dreaming, but I was sleepwalking. That's how I knew it was real. A demon was trying to take me, trying to possess me, and obviously I would be screaming, I'd be shouting, and my mum would wake up, and my brother, and they would comfort me and try and like wake me up, and I'd be panicking and shaking and crying, and sometimes I would like urinate myself. Like, it was beyond evil. Like, it was something else. And then one day, like, this happened for, like, I'd go weeks and nothing would ever be okay. And then one day I'd wake up and have this dream. Sometimes the dreams would be just dark figures pulling me underneath my covers. And then, I mean, honestly, it was like, and since that time I've watched some supernatural movies. It's like a Paranormal Activity movie where they get dragged under the covers, and that's what would happen to me in these dreams, and they felt so real. I think sometimes it was it was a dream, sometimes it was real, sometimes it was horrifying. Um, and then one day they just stopped, and I would have vivid, very lucid dreams where I would wake up, and in the dream, I'd be dreaming, I'd wake up and I'd realise, oh, I can do what I want. I'm sure people have had vivid dreams, they understand, and you sort of feel like you're the god of your dream. You're not actually the god, but like you can fly, you can do whatever you want, you know. And one day that happened, and I'm not sure, but I think the first time that happened, that's what sort of like made me be like, you know what, I don't need to be scared of these demons. Like I can control my dreams. And I would get a little bit less and less scared, you know, as I got older. So yeah, let's skip forward, I mean, to a few years in the future. Let's just say one very profound thing happened. Was one day I was at school, normal day. It was a good day. It was I think we'd just after lunchtime. Like it was during like the lunch break in Scotland. I was at Scotland at the time, and behind the school there was like a hill, and on that hill there was like brush, like dead bushes and stuff like that, and someone set fires there. It was quite a normal occurrence. Like people used to go there, set fires, and watch, because it would burn really quickly. Like a bush would go up, boom, be done. And I was up there one day and I saw this happening, and I put out the fire. I had a school bag on. I didn't even think. I just pulled the school bag over my shoulders and just stamped out the fire. And then I went back into school. And one of the school bullies at the time blamed me for setting the fires, and I didn't. I put it out, but of course I stunk of the like fire. I could smell it as I was walking in. I even spoke to the deputy head. He believed me, the deputy head at the time, but so many people blamed me. Like I was just the guy to pick on. Like everyone, I did have friends, but everyone just was like, oh, if anything bad happens, just blame Brian, you know. It's quite sad, because I really enjoyed that school, despite the bullying and stuff. And then I got sent away to what I can only describe as, and I'm just going to be real here, like, whether you believe in conspiracies, whatever, like, a lot of people have heard, well, this is the truth. It was what I can only describe as an MK Ultra mental institution school for young children, where they would run tests. They had the padded cells, they had the injections, they had braces to like restrain kids, but they would abuse you there. So they have open days where they put on this big show. Oh, everyone's all great, barbecues, everyone, oh, look at this school, it's so good, do all this good stuff. But behind closed doors, say you swore, not even a bad word, say you said, oh, crap, whatever, they would like scream at you, they'd throw you in this padded cell, they would restrain you, and if you fought back, like you're talking big muscly men holding like a little frail child, holding them arms behind their back, it would really hurt. Sometimes they would inject you. Like it was a very horrifying experience. And this was like a normal, it wasn't a normal school, it was like a school for bad behaved children, but most of the bad behaved children were children that had been abused. And obviously the adults didn't believe them, so they were like, oh, this is a troubled child, he's just bad, you know. like what happened to me. Like, I admit that I did do bad things, yeah, but I was generally quite a good student. You know, I was very academically gifted. I was looking at a program to get fast tracked, which in Scotland means you get to do all your exams a year early, so that you can go to uni earlier. Like I used my bad grievances to work extra hard in school, and that's what gave me that opportunity. So I was going to college when I was like 14, which is quite normal in Scotland. It's a lot different than in England. So things were like really well, we were doing really good in school. So to get accused of that fire and then sent to this horrible, horrible school, and then yeah, basically what I had to do was just become an actor. I'll be honest, I pretended that I was perfectly fine. I went along with the program. I just like obviously lied and manipulated my way, and I was like a young child at this time. I manipulated my way. Maybe I was like 13 or something at the time. I manipulated my way to get out, because you had to like be good for a certain amount of period and show you were progressing. So I just lied, I manipulated my way, I pretended to get the heck out of there, like, because they could move you from there to like young offenders institutions and stuff like that. Borstals, even worse places if you kept progressing behaviourally. So luckily I had the wisdom at the time, even though I was a child, to be like, right, this is what I need to do. I need to manipulate, lie, like pretend, put on a false act of, oh, I'm fine, so I can get out of there. So yeah, that's what I did, and they released me. And then they released me back to the school that I got expelled from. And then one day my mum, with her new partner, who she'd now married to over nearly 20 years, they just came in one day and were like, oh, we're moving to England. I was like, what? Bearing in mind I was at college, because you go to college like a few times a week, as well as going to school. I did plumbing, and then I was on like my last year of my standard grades, which is equivalent of GCSEs. So it was a big shock for me. Like, I was top of the classes. I loved my classes. I did so many good subjects. I was extremely looking forward to that. I was going to go to college and then university to study business and stuff like that. So it was a big shock for me. So I moved to England. When I moved to England, it was an experience. Let's just say that. I was the outsider kid, the only Scottish person in the school at the time, I think. At the start I got quite well received, because I consider myself quite a friendly person, like quite sociable. A bit of like a chameleon. Like I'm good at fitting in with people, so I was like really energetic, and I had some quirky talents that people enjoyed. So I like beatboxing. I was a break dancer at the time, so I loved to do backflips and all this crazy stuff, and people really enjoyed that. So that's how I like overcame the bullying and like being ostracized and stuff. But it still happened, and I'll be honest, I was I was quite cheeky. So like some of the situations I did put on myself. And yeah, but I mean, generally I had quite a good time in school. Let's just skip past high school and college. I went to college / university. Skip past all that. I moved out of my mum's house when I was like 15, 16. I think I was just turning 16 and moved into a hostel. I had a life. Obviously I was surrounded first time leaving home. I took some drugs, and I drank and partied and did some silly things. Dropped out of college. which was, it was a good thing and a bad thing. It was good because it wasn't what I wanted to do. Like, I thought when I went to college, I wanted to study dance, because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to become a dancer. So I studied that. I enjoyed it, but it just didn't feel right. But also I was hanging around with the wrong people. So that sort of had a part in it as well. And then I sort of like coasted through life for a few years. And then we get to the thing that truly saved me. Now I know a lot of people won't believe me. A lot of people have doubts. I could tell this story 1,000 times. Every detail would be the same. Like, this really happened. So, for a few years, I would say myself, I've always been a Christian. I haven't been a follower, but I've always believed in God. I've always had respect for Jesus. I knew in my heart I always had the Holy Spirit within me. That's obviously a lot of what helped me through the pains and struggles and tribulations of my life. But I was always like looking at other answers. So for a few years I was into conspiracy theories. I was into aliens, a lot of silly ideas. But a lot of the conspiracies, like, they're real. Like, a lot of conspiracies, they call them conspiracies, but it's just the truth, like MK Ultra, Project Mockingbird. Like, these things are real. Project Paperclip, which is where the Nazi scientists went to America. Like, all these sort of things, these are really interesting, because history for me was like an incredible subject. I love history. I love learning about from in school. For example, I learned from the South Africa apartheid to Germany from 1914 to 1945, First and Second World War. Like, that was so interesting to me because I love taking information in. So, like, history was really big in my life. So that's why I think it guided me towards some conspiracy theories. I dived into the rabbit holes per se, a lot of crazy stuff, but some of it was real and interesting, And at the time I was smoking cannabis, like a lot of cannabis. So I think that had a part in it, making me quite paranoid and stuff. But what happened one day was, I was at my parents' house, and on TV they were watching Big Brother. Big Brother, famous TV show. But on that show, they were doing like this trial or something, and it was straight up a satanic ritual. It's got to be real. You can go back and look at it. I think it was 5 years ago. Because I'm 30 now. This happened when I was 25, and they had like a bowl of like blood, obviously fake blood or whatever, and I had to dip in. And something just triggered in me. That I instantly was like, in that moment, I was filled with the Holy Spirit. I had to rebuke it. I was disgusted. I was like, nah. And I told my family, I was like, Mum, please turn this off. Like, this is just straight up satanic. This is evil. They're casting spells. Like, in that moment, God was speaking through me. Like, I had to rebuke it. I had to tell my mum, I was like, nah, turn this off. This is evil. I felt so repulsed. And it really panicked me. And I was like, nah. So I had to up and leave out the room. And it took me quite a while to calm down. I went to the room, and I was on my phone, I think. And then my family went to bed. I was staying with my parents at the time, and I went into the living room. I think maybe to get a drink or something, and I felt a pain in my chest. Like, it was bad. I felt pains in my chest and certain pains because smoking cannabis, one of the side effects is that you can feel phantom pains. So I thought it was just that. There's a term called going white, where you can have anxiety attacks and panic attacks, and it can make you sort of pass out or like feel like you're really ill or something. I thought it was just something like that, and what you're supposed to do is breathe slow, don't panic, and it passes, you know. I thought that's what it was, but it wasn't. Like, this was different. And then I just sort of collapsed to the floor. In that moment, I believed that I died. And I had an out-of-body experience. And what happened was, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know whether I died and then came back to life. And when I did, like, the veil had been lifted. I could see the supernatural world. I could just see it. Because it felt like I was on Earth, but I wasn't. Like, everything was familiar, but everything was like dark and gloomy and really strange. My senses were really heightened. I've been watching a lot of testimonies and stuff, and yeah, like, that's exactly how I felt. Where my senses were really heightened, I was hyper aware, and I just knew I had to get out of that house. So I literally climbed out my family's home's kitchen window. So in a tiny little window, I just climbed out, and bearing in mind I'm in the middle of nowhere, literally the middle of the sticks, the countryside. I just climbed out the window, and it's a beautiful home, but like, it was in the countryside, so climbed out the window, and then there's like a wall, and then I jumped over the wall, and my phone that I had at the time fell out my pocket into a puddle. I found that, like, I think 3 weeks later, and it was working. That's crazy. That's another story. But yeah, my phone fell out the pocket, and then I just knew I had to walk to Carlisle, which was the city that I grew up in. I don't know why. I just had this compulsion, like, and we're talking, this is a very long way that I had to walk, about 30 miles. But yeah, so I just started walking. And on the way, no joke, you're talking, I think this is like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, I think this happened. And as I was walking, people were coming out the doors, and I'm talking, like, some of these things, these were not human. They looked like humans, but they weren't. And I just felt everywhere I was going, eyes were watching me. Like, people were like, what is happening here? This is weird, this is strange. And everywhere I walked, and every now and again I would see someone and I'd be like, oh, that person's good. I could just feel their aura, their presence. Like, I could feel, oh, that's a good person. But most people were either had black eyes, they had a shadow next to them, they just felt ominous and evil. Some people just felt void of God. This is the best way to describe it, looking back. That at the time I kind of understood what was happening, but I didn't. But looking back, that's what it was. It was people void of God. Not necessarily evil people, but there was some evil people. Those were the people with black eyes. And it was like I was here on Earth, but the spiritual veil had been removed, and I could see both sides. Let's just say this happened for about 3 months, where the veil had been removed, until finally it went back up again. But yeah, I'd walked. So I was walking through fields, I was walking on main highways. I think I got about 3/4 of the way to Carlisle, and I passed out. I was completely exhausted. And yeah, I had passed out, and some person stopped. I thought they were good, but this person was not a good person. As soon as he stopped the car, he offered me a drink and that, and I was just like, I've just walked so far, I'm exhausted. At this point, I just need something to drink. So he gave me some juice in a bottle. I drank it. It tasted vile. It was they talk about all these colours and everything. It was like everything I tasted, I could taste the impurities and the poisons and chemicals and whatever this was. I think it was diluting juice, and it was horrible. But obviously I was extremely thirsty, so I drank it. And then he took me in the car, and he was like, "Oh, I want to lift to Carlisle." The whole time he was talking, I didn't look at him, not once. I didn't look him in the eyes, because I could just feel his aura was just so bad. This, maybe he wasn't an evil person. Maybe it was just, I could feel his sin that he committed, because I was hyper aware at this moment. So I eventually made it to Carlisle, and when I got to Carlisle, I went straight to the hospital. That was my first thought. I need to go to the hospital. So I went up to the hospital, and when I tell you, this wasn't the hospital that I knew and I grew up in. The place that fixed my nose when it got broken, the place where I had abscesses removed, the place that saved my life, that really did a lot of good for me. This wasn't the same place. This place was straight up run by demons. I'm telling you, it was, walking up there, I seen the big H, and I was like, yeah, this is hell. This is an evil place, a demonic place. So much, the signs that they normally put up and stuff, it just felt so wrong being there. But in that moment, I was in pain, I was scared, I was terrified. I felt like I just needed someone to talk to, someone that I knew, somewhere that I thought was safe. So I went there. As soon as I got there, I got to the A&E, and the security guard, this man was just, it was like a prison guard. That's the sort of energy I felt from him. And I went in, I spoke to a nurse. The nurse was okay. And I just said that, I've just walked from Carlisle, I feel exhausted, is it okay if I get a checkup? I don't feel very well. And then I sat around for a while, and I just had the urge to just get up and go out, so I did. So then I made it to the city centre, and on the way to the city centre, I kept bumping into people that I knew, people I went to school with. I think it was 3 people maybe. It wasn't a lot, but it was just really strange. Carlisle was quite a big place. It's small, but it's quite big, and I saw these people, and when I met them, I could just feel their pain, their sorrow. I could feel the struggles that they went through. I could feel that they were hurting inside. I just wanted to give them a hug. I didn't, but I felt like that. I just felt their pain, and I just wanted to hold them and be like, "You're okay. I feel your pain. I'm here for you. Give me a call, whatever." And then I went to. Now I want to get this right, because this is a very confusing time. So forgive me if I get what happened out of date, because some of it I have tried to block out, I'll be honest. So I know certain things that I did. One, I tried to go to places to ask for help, from basically begging for money so I could get something to eat. I also went to a place called Bitts Park, which is a giant park, beautiful place, absolutely love it. And time just felt different. Like, I was wandering. You're talking, I must have walked maybe 40 miles. My feet were really hurting. I wasn't in the best shape. And everything just felt slow but also fast at the same time. Like, felt like I'd been walking forever. And it went from night to day to started to get late again. I had no sense of time. And one thing that happened, which was extremely profound, and this is where I believe that I met an angel. Because in this time of darkness, because let me just tell you, right, I felt completely alone. Like, I felt like even though I was seeing people, and none of these people were real, it was extremely strange. And then every now and again I would see people with light, love, and every time I saw that, like, I was starting to feel like I was very confused, and it was terrifying, I'll be honest. And every now and again, when I was starting to feel really down, I just wanted to collapse to the floor and just cry out and be like, well, what is happening? Because, like, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. When the veil gets removed from the spiritual world, not completely, and you get to see people's pain and sorrow, and you feel their pain. It's like you've lived a part of their life. It is so profoundly good and bad at the same time. Like, I didn't know whether I wanted to cry, smile, laugh, run away. Felt all these emotions. So yeah, let's get to the profound situation. I'm sorry, I like to jump around. It's just the way my mind works. So yeah, got to Bits Park. It was at night, and there's like a path you take where you go from the park to a place called the Sand Centre, which is, it's quite famous. It's got a lot of big celebrities, a lot of big shows. Like I've performed there myself as being a dancer in school. I've actually performed there, so I really like that place. So like I took this big path, and all through the path it was like I was getting guided by an angel, reading the signs, like just normal signs, like pointing to certain places. It was like I was getting told a message. It was like I was walking a path but I had to learn, you know. And it was unbelievable. Like, even though I was alone, I felt like there was someone there. I couldn't see them, but I could feel them. Looking back, I believe that was my guardian angel. More specifically, and I hope I'm true about this, I believe it's my brother, who's in heaven. I didn't have a close relationship with him because he was my dad had a marriage before my mum, so he had kids with someone else, and he was my half brother. I met him, but I didn't know him, and he passed away. May God rest his soul, and I hope one day I get to meet him and shake his hand. But yeah. So I was getting guided, and I was walking all the way through these parks, and then I went from Bits Park. There's a giant park, Bits Park here. You've got Sand Centre right here, just like a big theatre where they put shows and dance performances, music festivals, concerts, all sorts here. And then the other side is there's a certain path you can take to go to Rickerby Park, which is another giant park. And I walked there, and then I walked back. And by the time I walked back, it was really late at night. And what happened next was just wow. So I was walking, and then I just felt an urge that I needed to go somewhere. And where it was there's a monument in Bits Park. It's a monument. I don't know what it's to. Sorry, I'm normally my memory is quite good, but it doesn't really matter for this context. But I got to this monument, and then I started walking along the riverside. So you've got a giant park here, giant park there. There's a river that runs along this way, and I was walking this way, up the river, and there was a log. There was like a log that had been cut up, and it was so out of place. Like normally they would never cut trees around this area. Like it's a very beautiful, luscious place. Like so there was these logs. It was so strange, and I just had this sudden urge to pick it up and put it on my shoulder and carry it, and I did. And I carried it from one side of the park to the other park. It was like I had the experience, because it was a really big log and it was heavy. And just for some context, I had a really bad back injury at the time that I was suffering from, so if I do heavy exercise or heavy lifting or anything, my back would be really bad for quite a while, to the point where sometimes I'd have to wear crutches and stuff. So this is really strange that I just had this urge, like I have to pick this up now, and I have to walk from it from here to here. And then I couldn't see it, but I could feel pure love enveloping me in this darkness. Because as I said, it was like I was on earth. It was like I was completely alive, but there was a veil that had been lifted, and the world just felt dark, empty, void of happiness, and as I said, I was hyper aware of my surroundings, of what people's horrors were, what their sin was, what their experiences were, and I just felt like I wanted to save them and help them, but I couldn't. I didn't have the power. So yeah, I went through this, what I can only describe as very profound experience, and I think I'm pretty sure it was the same night I had to sleep under a bridge. Because bearing in mind I'd walked 30 miles away from where I was living. I could have went to a friend's house, but I just was scared that if I went to this friend's house, what if their eyes were black? What if I could see spirits near them? What if they were just a bit off, you know? I was very paranoid, I was very confused. It was a very harrowing experience. So yeah, so I slept underneath a bridge, had some cardboard over me, and that night I think I maybe slept for 2 hours, but it was a heavy rainstorm. This was the loudest, most thunderous, thunder, lightning, rain, everything. This felt like the most intense storm ever. And I'm not talking about like a monsoon or anything like that. I'm talking about like when the rain hit the ground, it felt like someone was stamping on the ground. The thunder sounded like a voice. It was both scary, but I had this peace. I had this peace in my heart. Even though I was really scared, I was panicking, I had a very peaceful feeling in my heart. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. So, what happened? The next day, was either the next day or the day after that, there was a lot of time that was a blur, I'm going to be honest with you. I was just wandering aimlessly. So it might have been the following day where I went back to the hospital. And when I went back to the hospital, I think I was just seeking help. I was just like, right, can someone just snap me out of this? I don't like this anymore. I went to the hospital and spoke to the nurses, and what was extremely strange was I'm there all like confused and they probably thought I was on drugs or something else, which I wasn't. And they were just like, the things they were asking me was, do you feel like God? Do you believe in God? Do you believe in Jesus? Do you feel like you're an angel? Like, very, very strange questions. It was like they knew what was happening to me. Like, if that makes sense. They knew. And I didn't know these people. I think it was a nurse, then maybe a doctor who I spoke to. And they were just like, they knew what was going on with me. It was like they had a certain protocol. If they see someone with glazed over eyes, like, oh, let's ask them these questions. Because I was hyper aware, like, I could see the small twitches in their arms, and like when they would lick their lips and stuff. Like, I noticed every single detail about the way they were moving, the way they were talking. It was very, very strange. And I was just like, yeah, I don't trust these people. Like, and I was like, right, can you phone my mum? Because I'd lost my phone, as I said, at the start of this experience. And instead of helping me, they were like, oh, well, we want to see you. Like, they deceived me. They were like, oh, we think you should go to this hospital because we think you're suffering a psychotic break. And I was like, I feel perfectly normal. Like, I'm just a bit like, I think I'm drained because I walked so far. I didn't want to tell them the truth. Like, there's no way. I did not trust these people. The fact that they just straight up came at me and said, do you feel elevated? Do you feel like you're a god? Stuff like this. Like, this was very, very strange. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, right. They'll get me a taxi. And they deceived me. They took me to this hospital, sat in this room. No one came. And what was strange was, as they were taking me there, I turned to one of this, I think it was a paramedic or an ambulance driver or someone. I was just like, I'm not allowed to leave, am I? He was like, no. I was like, why not? He was like, oh, you know why. And I was just like, straight up came out. I said, what, if I leave, are you going to send the hounds of hell after me? It was like, and he just smirked. And it was like, you know, giving me a yes without saying yes. I was just like, yes, I was scared, well, more so anxious, but I didn't fear it because I had Jesus, I had an angel, I had someone protecting me, so I felt sort of at peace. But I was just like, oh, where are they taking me? Are they taking me to prison? They try to lock me up or something. And what happened was, I got there, I was in this room. Sorry, when I asked this question, it wasn't in the journey, it was when I got to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, before I was walking in the doors, I like stopped before they walked into the hospital, and I was just like, can I leave? And they're like, no, you can't leave. It's like, you have to come with us, Brian, you have to come with us. I was like, what, if I leave, are you going to send the hounds of hell after me? And that's when the guy smirked. The other doctor wasn't even looking, he wasn't even paying, not a doctor, like a paramedic or something, was not even looking, not even paying attention. And I just felt like, you know what, I may as well just go. Like, honestly, I should have ran, but I think that maybe could have made the situation worse. So I went in, and then I don't know how long it was, they sectioned me. So they took me to a mental institution, like a mental hospital, I'm not 100%, but I think they put me on what's known as a Section 3, meaning it's up to 6 month hold, where you have to be in for up to 6 months. They can release you way before that, but basically you have to run tests, do medication, do a treatment plan, and then you get released. I think that's what it was, I'm not sure. It may have only been a Section 2. And yeah, so I was in there, then my mum came, my stepdad come, my dad, and they were just like, where'd you go? Like, what? Like, because obviously I just disappeared. What I forgot to mention was, I think it was a few days before this, I did the same thing, like where I ran away. But that time I came back. So like one night, I can't remember what set it off. But yeah, the first time I jumped out my bedroom window, and I just like went off all night, and then I came back out in the morning. My mum in the morning normally comes and checks me, wakes me up for breakfast or whatever. She came in, I wasn't there. So she was like panicking, like, where is he? Where's my son? But I'd come back that time. And I think it was a few days later, maybe a week later, that's when this whole situation happened. So sorry, I forgot to mention that. And then obviously I was in the section ward. I shouldn't have been there. But in that place I met some very interesting people. And one person who had a lot of mental troubles, but certain things he said just spoke to me. Like, I think he understood a little bit, because what I believe is a lot of people who have severe mental health issues like schizophrenia, bipolar, dissociative behaviour disorders, maybe certain people are autistic on the scale. I believe that certain people, because their mind is fractured that way, I believe they see through the veil into the spiritual, and I believe they see demons. They also see angels. They see things that normal humans shouldn't see, and I believe that's what can drive some of them crazy. So yeah, so I talked to this man and became his friend for a while. But the fortunate thing was I basically did the exact same thing at the start of this story I told you, when I got put into that mental institution disguised as a school. I just pretended to be perfectly fine. I'll be honest, I lied. When they were asking me, oh, do you feel heightened elevations? Are you being like a god figure? Like, do you think you're Jesus? Like, this is literally what they asked me. Do you believe you're Jesus? Obviously I believed in Jesus, but I wasn't going to tell them anything. I was like, nah, of course not. Like, I was like, I just straight up told them, I says, no, I was smoking cannabis, I think I had a paranoid attack. And they believed it, and I was like, no, I'm completely fine, you know. And they released me within a week, so I was only there a week. Like, thank God. And yeah, for about maybe 3 months after that, I could still see through the veil. I could still see people's eyes black. Even when I was watching videos, I could see it. Like, I would watch videos, and I kept saying to myself, like, am I crazy? Am I hallucinating? Like, am I actually mentally unstable? But it was more than that. Because once you are touched by the Holy Spirit, which happened to me many times in my life, something changes in you. Like, I would consider myself to be quite a selfless person, and I've been selfless a lot of my life. I always try and put people first. It makes me feel extremely good and fulfilled to see people smile from something I do, to help people less fortunate than myself. That is my number one thing that makes me happy, more than anything. I always feel compelled to help people, and sometimes it's got me in trouble. Sometimes I go too far with my help. But that's a story for another day. So yeah, For about 3 months, even when I was watching YouTube videos, going about daily life, like this whole time the world was like this, where I was here but things just weren't right, you know. Very ominous. It reminded me like a movie called The Mist, where there's like a mist on the world and these monsters come out the mist. Like it feels like you're on Earth, but it's like a very ominous version. That's what it felt like. Sometimes I'd have moments of clarity. We'd be like, oh right, thank you, the veil's been put up. You know, they're saying ignorance is bliss. Like that's what I wanted. I'll be honest, I did, because it was getting a bit too much. And then till one day I just woke up and the veil was back up, and I met my partner. So through that there was a silver lining, you know. And yeah, that was 5 years ago that happened. And for the grace of God, He saved me. He filled me with the Holy Spirit, and He showed me a very profound experience where I believe what happened was God wanted to open up my eyes, because I've always been an aware person. I believe He attaches to the things that make you you, and He amplifies them so that you can spread His message. I believe that's what happened to me. I was always a very hyper-aware person. I'm very self-aware, I'm very self-absorbent sometimes, and always put a lot of trouble on my heart. Like, got a lot of regrets. And to this day, I still have remnants of that, what I can only describe as the Holy Spirit of power, where I can feel people's pain, and I want to help people. I want to guide people and try and give them advice. So yeah, that's the end of this story, and I'll be happy to answer people's questions. I'm looking to post this online. I don't know when. But yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, and I promise you with all my heart, by the grace of God, everything I've told you is truthful. Everything comes from God. There was a reason this happened to me, and I'm so happy that I have Jesus in my life and God in my life. I'm still a sinner. I'm trying to make right and repent for my sins and become a better version of me. It's been a struggle. But yeah, I hope my words resonate with some of the world's stories, and I'd love to have a discussion. There's a lot more to the story, and yeah, just thank you for listening to my testimony. I've been Brian Macnab. May God bless you. May God bless this world. In Jesus' name, thank you. I love you, Jesus. Thank you for all that you've done for us, and thank you for your sacrifices. It is extremely humbling. May God bless everyone. Thank you. I love you. And know that you're worth it. Okay? Goodbye.